I would not have gotten that idea without AI.
When you find kind of an opportunity and you've validated that the search volume is coming from a number of different keywords that are then driving those sales, how do you think about what you're going to do in order to differentiate your product from the competitors?
This is where AI, I think, is changing the game and why it's so exciting. And I actually love this part of it. As far as running my own business, I'm still very heavily involved in the product development side. Almost too much. Like my wife is kind of my counter to that. Like, even though I want to base these things a lot of times in data, like if she tells me it's a go, like I'll say this product looks good from a data perspective, I want to go in this direction, and she says go, I'll just start designing things, right? So we decided to start launching children's luggage. And now that's turning into children's luggage sets with carry-ons and backpacks and neck pillows and bag tags. And now we're moving into book bags that come with thermoses and lunch boxes and like all sets, right? So differentiation for me is going to come from either value, bundles, adding extra pieces. But to me, that's the most surface level way to disrupt. If you're selling the same thing, but just trying to throw more into a package, you're going to end up getting disrupted yourself. If you then try to do the frequently bought together disruption, which is like people that buy this frequently buy this accessory, so I'm going to throw that cheap accessory in there. That's a temporary fix as well, but then that's going to get disrupted as well. And so all of these different ways that you can disrupt have their own differentiation disruption timeline. If I do a 10 pack and then next you see me launch it and then you start developing a 12 pack and then you still sell it for the same price or slightly more, that's going to last for a cycle, 3 to 6 months. People will start buying your 12 pack, right? And then my conversion rate goes down, my product starts to die. If I throw some accessories in, the best example of this that I've seen that's overly saturated are the exercise bands. If you try to just go search for exercise bands on Amazon, it's the funniest thing ever. You don't see any listings of just someone selling a single exercise band anymore. It's like a book, a workout DVD or videos, exercise bands, a towel, 6 different types of sizes and everything. It's just like everyone was outdoing each other. And now it's such a built out, this like crazy market. So then the next thing is going to be design. This is where you can start to get some type of IP or protection or copyright where it takes a little bit more skill, right? And this is where AI can help you disrupt. So for me with my book bags or my toys, for example, I can just go into a market that has a toy that has a unicorn design, and I can use AI to make a slightly cuter unicorn or much more cute unicorn, right? Something that's more modern, 3D, dimensional, not some clip art 1990s style unicorn, like which is what might be winning in the market. I can just prompt Midjourney and say, give me the cutest little baby unicorn ever, like riding on a rainbow in the clouds. And literally I'll get 4 ideas back and one of them might be amazing, like right away, like in 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes more playing with it. So disruption comes in those different ways. Once you get the idea, get some kind of mock-up done, you need to test it. So what I'm doing is I'm then taking it to like PickFu or a service like that. And I'm saying to a real audience, which one would you rather have? Mine or these other 2 that are bestsellers or other 3 bestsellers? And I'm mixing it in and I'm saying, and if I'm not getting the majority of the votes before I even go to production, I'm going back to the drawing board and I'm trying again. And so this is how I'm really thinking about design disruption to make sure that I've got a product that when I launch it with PPC, I'm confident it's going to perform. The PPC is going to perform and I'm going to lift up on those keywords.
Kind of a tip around the IP protection that I've heard more recently is, since there's like a multi-year backlog at the US IP office or whatever, like even design patents are pending for years just because of the backlog before they even open it or look into it. So I've heard that a number of people are like filing more patents. And then even if they're not granted and they're just kind of like stuck in this patent pending state, it still is a deterrent for competitors to see on there that you have the patent pending. So
yeah, because it's a ticking time bomb a lot of times, right? So a competitor might come into the space. You can kind of warn them. It's not enforceable. You can't take them down, but like you can kind of message them, or if they see it, they'll just avoid it, right? So it's giving you some runway and it's giving you a little bit of time. I've been using a lot of copyrights because I found that if it's a design that is printed, then I can at least copyright elements of that. And then I'm trying to create a mode around that, right? So I want to do a lot of variations and a lot of different styles. Good example with a good design patent, though, is on a product that I did. I don't want to disclose what the product is. It's a sports product for my sports brand. The current model that most sellers have to do is like a square one. Someone got a design patent on the rounded edges one, right? So like the rounded corners. And I'm like, it looks so much better. And they're like, it is better, right? And I said, I don't want to do the square one everyone's doing, and I can't do the rounded one. But what I figured out is that I can do the whole thing rounded, right? So like literally the whole thing is rounded. And now I own that design patent. So it's literally just me, him, and then everybody else. I think that the lesson there is that if you're going to go through the trouble of doing a design patent, which could potentially be easy to get around, you should be creating variations of your own design. Take yourself out and think like a seller that would be wanting to disrupt you. Think of all the ways you can be disrupted with your patent, because a design patent's a little easy to get around sometimes. And then file protections for all those too. It's expensive, but if you can create a moat where every potential angle for someone to try to disrupt you is covered, you can corner the market.
While we're on the topic of kind of like understanding how to differentiate your product, we actually thought you were going to go, Brandon, with like the AIs as far as around review analysis. And I can speak a little bit to that, because one thing that like the LLMs are great at is summarizing large pieces of text.
Yeah,
I remember like prior to, ChatGPT and these LLMs getting a lot better, I used to just spend hours and hours reading through all these different reviews. And now
I learned that from you. As a matter of fact, you would talk about that a lot, and it became a big part of our process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But now instead of spending hours, like Jungle Scout actually has something like this built in, but even if you weren't using Jungle Scout, you could copy and paste all those reviews and kind of get a summary. And it's a great way to be able to like consume, like Jungle Scout now, it will like essentially read through tens of thousands of reviews for you and give you a really nice summary of like how you can differentiate it and how you can improve it versus that competitor and things like that. And I know all of our customers have been like raving about how much time it saved them. So
it is a massive feature when they can say what people like, don't like, and then get some suggestions on building it in. I was just doing a talk in Japan, and I want to bring my toys to Japan, but I've never been confident to do it because there was no testing of audiences there. But recently, PickFood just opened up Japan audiences, right? I was like, that's awesome. Now I can actually test my design versus the competitors. I ran the same, like an AI on the reviews and the listings of the best sellers, came back, and it said, a way to differentiate might be, or value added suggestions would be to add more LED lights and waterproof. And I was able to just design basically the same thing. What I found is that kids in Japan and parents in Japan just like realistic toys, which is interesting because like most of their toys are like manga and like anime and stuff like that. But like remote control cars is what I was looking at. And it was like a regular like Jeep was the best seller. And I was like, so plain. But so like a fancy one that I sell in America would not work, like tumbling and doing all this crazy stuff. So what I did is I just took the Jeep and I added LED lights and I tested it and I won. Like even the Japanese like parents said, okay, that's subtle enough and enough of a feature and then to do it. But I would not have gotten that idea without AI. So AI is going to give you that first spark to go then take to AI and start designing for sure.
Now, this was just a very small piece taken from the full webinar, but you can watch it all, plus get 10 more hours of exclusive content by visiting the link below. This year, Jungle Scout hosted our first ever Amazon Seller Week, where we teamed up with industry-leading experts to help sellers like you elevate and evolve your business. We covered 10 different learning sessions on topics like advanced advertising strategies, growth funding options, supply chain tips, and much more. And you can access all of it for free with the link below.